I want to bring this portion of the conversation around to something, Dave, that you talked about earlier, which is, the fact is, all of this, we're all in a relationship based business, right? So, like, if your CMO is focused on win rates, your CMO is focused on relationships, right? And that's true at every point in the funnel. You talked about bringing in structured data with unstructured data, and that unstructured data was literally the language of relationships. How is sugar enabling that? And how does structured and unstructured data come together in order to increase those win rates?
Well, I'll first admit I stole that expression, the structured and unstructured data line, from one of our chief engineers and architects. What he said is that structured data is the language of business and unstructured data is the language of relationships. Now, in all those cases, I think a lot of us, and I grew up at Accenture thinking systematically about things, sellers aren't going to go do most of them aren't going to go do a bunch of spreadsheet work and analysis and correlation, right? They're also out interacting over WhatsApp, over text, over Zoom, over phone calls, face to face. The conversations they're having to build those relationships, it's all unstructured. But in that unstructured data is the key to who the decision maker is, what the buyer values are. It's all there. It's just not broken down into fields and rows and columns. So what we do at Sugar is ingest unstructured data, make sense of it, as well as combine it with structured data from ERP to help guide the seller to the right conversation to have with the customer about the right product.
And Grant, what do you think about, just the fact that if relationships are the way that we're going to win, right? And I think it was last November, Forrester came out and they said their biggest prediction for this year was trust. And trust is the foundation to relationships. If you go back to, marketing 101, our brand is a trust mark, right? So trust, they said, is how you're going to get into deals, how you're going to close deals, and how you're going to keep those deals, the loyalty factor, right? So if you could put this relationship focus into a better focus for us in terms of just how important it is and how it relates to a growth minded, revenue minded go to market strategy, because it's never been a dotted line, even. It's been a very kind of circular line, right? But what David, I think, is saying, and I'm taking away, is no, this is one of the most important aspects of a revenue minded go to marketer, right? How do you think about that?
Well, I think it's fundamental in just the definitional terms of relationship or relational versus transactional. And if you approach and just let's do more of something versus do it better, do it more sustainably, make it more lasting, and then you just realize that you have to grow a relationship, whether it's personal or business or anything, you have to invest in it. So you need to be listening to what is the customer problem? What is the critical business need that's unmet? How could you help them achieve their business objectives and realize business value from your solution, get a great return, a great ROI? And the relationship is the whole journey of the customer. And if you think about it, if you close win and they don't kind of get the go live right or the first implementation right, and then sort of lose focus on the customer, you sort of diminish the trust, right? Because then they're not going to be an advocate if you didn't deliver. So like it's something you invest in for the long term. If you think about, customers go to a new company and now they're prospects, but they trusted you from the last company. So that relationship has future value if you took care of it, right? So I just think relationships is what it's all about. And we could go into a lot of dimensions, but that is the fundamental start.